Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us for the second part of our story. Let's jump right back in. Mark tried to call me a couple of times, but I ignored his calls. I went back to work on Monday but sleepwalked through my responsibilities. Tuesday too, for that matter. Finally, on Wednesday evening, Adam called. Adam, I guess you found out. I'm so sorry. So very sorry. I didn't want you to find out this way. Hell, I don't even know how you found out. Well, I guess we've established one thing. You're not even sorry you did it, you're just sorry you got caught. That's not what I mean, Adam. I would argue that that's exactly what you meant. Tell me about why you did this. What was missing in our relationship and why I wasn't able to satisfy you in the bedroom, Sarah? Then we may have something more to discuss. Assuming you have any interest in any discussions. Would you rather just get a divorce? No. I can't honestly say I can give you a good answer for any of those questions right now, except for one. I definitely don't want a divorce. Well, call me when and only when you can answer those questions. Then we may be able to figure out whether there is still an us and what to do about it. Okay, Adam, I will. And thank you for being willing to talk. Adam, as I had mentioned, wasn't normally a fly-off-the-handle kind of guy, but I was still very surprised by how well he was taking this. It sounded like there still might be a chance for us. The discussion, of course, proved that I was woefully unprepared to answer the hard questions to which he was entitled. I decided to call in sick the next day so that I wouldn't be distracted by work issues and take time to think through these things. My feelings were in a muddle. I was feeling very guilty, of course. For some reason, however, and I really hate to admit this, I was feeling sorry for myself for having been caught and for the potential of losing Mark. Trust me when I say I know that won't get me any sympathy with anyone, but since I've been caught, I may as well be honest. I sat at the kitchen table with a notepad. I don't know why, but it seemed a good idea at the time. And a cup of coffee. I thought through the questions Adam posed. I guess it must have been hours because I drank most of a pot of coffee and then smelled something burning. That turned out to be the little bit left in the bottom of the pot. Burnt to the point that I would likely have to throw the pot itself out. At the end of the day, I had to rely on Adam's love and forgiveness. The truth was, this happened simply because I enjoyed the attention from someone else. I loved and appreciated Adam's attention and care, but I had become somewhat accustomed to it. Though he was wonderful in every way, the reality was that the connection we once had didn't feel the same to me anymore. The attention I received from someone else had altered how I felt in my relationship with Adam, and I felt deep regret for that. I cried again when I thought about it. Adam didn't deserve to be in this situation. I spent the next day at work and the weekend thinking through what I should say to Adam. I knew if I didn't reach out soon, there might be no point, but if I didn't have the right answers, would it even matter? Sunday afternoon, I finally called. I got Adam's voicemail and left him a message indicating that I wanted to talk when he was willing. He called me back about an hour and a half later. Hi, Sarah. Adam, thanks for calling me back. So, you're ready to talk. I don't like some of my answers, but I'm as ready as I think I'll ever be. How about lunch tomorrow? Go through a drive-thru and get what you want, then meet me at the park. Okay. Adam, what time? 12:30. Near the pond. See you then. He had already hung up. The desperate plea and Adam's terms. As I tried to sleep that night, I wrestled with what I'd tell Adam. I had to admit that I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. If Mark were single, would I feel differently? Probably. I had to admit the sex with him was just so much better, though it was getting less exciting recently. I'd have to figure out why and do something about it, assuming I got the chance. By the time I fell asleep, I had a plan. It was a risky plan, to be sure, but at least it was something, and I guess that was better than nothing. Maybe it was Machiavellian of me, but I wore Adam's favorite dress the next day. A blue dress that showed just a hint of the roundness of my breasts, and a skirt that showed the bottom part of my thighs. I know Adam has always loved my legs. Would you believe I also wore sexy underwear? I know, but hey, why were we in this position in the first place? I think I have proven that I don't always exactly think all that clearly. At the time, I figured it couldn't hurt. Adam looked cold when he sat down beside me at 12:40. He was a few minutes late, but what could I say about it? I waited a minute and finally he spoke. Well, nothing like being made to feel comfortable with a tough discussion, right? I know. I deserved it, Adam. I don't know where to begin. First of all, you've been the best husband any woman could hope for. I guess that makes all this even worse. I truly can't think of anything you've done or not done that caused this. I still don't know how you found out, and I guess that doesn't matter, but I never wanted to hurt you. That being said, I have to admit that my connection with Mark has been fulfilling in ways that I hadn't expected. I don't want this to hurt you, but it's the truth. What we shared in the beginning was amazing, and for a long time it was great. It's just that with Mark, I feel a different kind of connection. None of this is an excuse, of course. I know I don't want a divorce. I love you deeply, and I hope that's not hard to believe, despite what I've shared. I truly value everything about our life together. I'm not dissatisfied with our relationship, It's just that there are aspects of it that don't fulfill me in the same way the rest of our life does. I understand you are likely not to want to do this, but would you consider us staying together but allowing me to continue my relationship with Mark? My stomach was in knots as I waited what seemed like forever. What a stupid, selfish woman I was for asking this. Finally, Adam responded. I have to admit I'm surprised. I'd have thought you'd tell me you wanted a divorce if that's how you feel about our sex life. If I consider this, how can I be convinced you truly do love me? I was stunned. I don't know what I expected, but this certainly was not it. I was fully prepared to hear that he would divorce me outright. I thought that there may also be a very remote chance he'd forgive me eventually after insisting that Mark couldn't be part of the equation. Never in a million years did I expect this, though. I finally responded, though I was completely unprepared to formulate anything very articulate. I probably can't give you a good answer for that, other than to say that if you give me the chance, you'll definitely feel loved and cherished. I hardly feel loved and cherished now, Sarah. But then you probably don't care, do you? Though that comment was fully deserved, it felt like Adam had punched me in the face and stomach at the same time, as hard as he possibly could, and knocked me to the floor. The tears came immediately, and it was some time before I could respond. Just for the record, Adam would absolutely never lay a hand on me in anger. He's way too much of a man to do that. I don't know what to say, Adam. I'll give Mark up if you tell me I have to. I assume you know his name. I still don't even know how you found out, and I guess it doesn't matter. I'm sure things with him will eventually fizzle out anyway. Okay, the fact that you're willing to give him up if I make you is enough for me for the time being. I won't make you do that, though. This was getting more and more surprising by the minute. My heart jumped, but I was afraid to get too excited. I was mostly happy that Adam was apparently going to consider us staying together, but to be able to continue my relationship with Mark? That was more than I had hoped for, even though I obviously came to this discussion asking for that very thing. The new normal. Here is what is going to happen. You can accept it or we can divorce. Okay. And anything, Adam, I promise you won't regret this. Make sure that I don't. First off, I won't be sharing the space with him. I guess I haven't really been sharing all that much with you lately, but I definitely won't be comfortable with things that cross that line. For as long as you choose to continue seeing him, I'll move downstairs. We've been meaning to finish the basement anyway, so I'll turn it into a bedroom and bathroom. Essentially, we'll live as roommates until you decide you're done with him. You're welcome to have him over, but please don't be overly affectionate in front of me. If that happens, it'll be the end for us. Does that work for you? The surprises just kept coming. I was overwhelmed with happiness but also sad at the same time. What was the point of staying married if Adam was going to move out of the bedroom? Maybe he would eventually change his mind about that. I had to hope. Of course, you have every right to place whatever requirements on it you want, Adam. I'm just so grateful you're staying with me at all. I hope eventually you'll decide you want to have a closer relationship again. That's probably entirely up to you and how you make me feel, Sarah. Adam moved back in the next day and immediately called a contractor to work on the basement. Our 2 other bedrooms had already been made into an office and workout room. I tried to get him to sleep in our bedroom, at least until the basement was finished, but he would have none of it. I tried to get him to let me take the couch, but he would have none of that either. That obviously really made me feel guilty, like I needed to feel more guilty. But then maybe that was the point. I gave it a few days and then called Mark back. What took you so long to call, baby? Why didn't you answer my calls? He knows, Mark. What? How does he know? Does it matter? He knows, and he was very hurt, as you can understand. Yes, I guess so. So, is it over? You might think so, but no. He's fine with us keeping in touch. Are you kidding? What a pushover. I can't believe it. Mark, let me make one thing clear. Adam is not a pushover, and if you call him that again, it will be the last time we speak. Do you understand? I'm sure you're impressed with me right now, and I'm probably earning your respect. All right, I get it. Calm down. I just want to make that very clear up front. Anyway, he's fine with us seeing one another, but while we are, he and I will essentially be living as roommates. He's moving out of the bedroom and making a room for himself downstairs. Well, what do you care? You still get to stay married, and we can see one another too. You're right, but I'm still wondering why, and frankly, I'm wondering why bother calling it a marriage? We made arrangements to meet the following day during lunch, but at a local motel rather than at our house. For some reason, I didn't want to come here yet. Interesting, I had permission now, but I wanted to be courteous about it, at least at first. My mind continued to churn. Why was Adam reacting this way? It wasn't perfect, but it was still too good to be true. Adam and I would see one another in passing in the evenings, and he was pleasant, even friendly, but I could have been a male drinking buddy. There was no intimacy at all, physical or otherwise. I made attempts to have more personal, not sexual discussions with him, but he politely changed the subject. I was definitely starting to feel that part of me was missing. The bitter pill. I met Mark the next day, and the sex was just okay. I really can't pretend otherwise. I wish I could explain it or change it, but I couldn't. It was like all the excitement was gone now that Adam knew. Was it just the deception that made it exciting before? Or was it starting to become clear that I needed love as well as lust? And the lust by itself just wasn't working for me anymore now that I didn't feel like I had love? As I continued to think, it very gradually became clear to me that I had what I thought I wanted. Now that I had it, though, it wasn't at all what I had expected it to be. Have you heard of a parent that shuts their kid in a closet and makes them smoke several cigarettes when they catch them smoking? I almost felt like that's what was happening to me in some ways. That just couldn't be how Adam was thinking about it, or could it? That would be a very elaborate form of revenge. I wondered why he didn't seem to need revenge, but maybe he was getting the ultimate revenge. On the way home, I stopped by the bank. I don't even remember why anymore, but I thought I'd ask for a printout while I was there, just to make sure my math was correct in the checkbook. I was stunned to find my balance seriously depleted. I checked our meager savings account too and found that half of that balance was gone. I asked about it and was told that Adam had withdrawn half the balance of each a few days back. Now I was beginning to reel. I guess I was seeing just how serious all this was. I had to talk to Adam about it. Adam, can we talk? I asked as soon as I walked through the door and saw him sitting on the couch watching his favorite college basketball team. He had a bird puppet with a big red head and yellow beak, sporting the letters KU on its blue body in his hand. He was sitting forward, switching between concentrating and yelling at the TV. I couldn't help but wonder what made the Tigers so much worse than any other team. I might have thought it was cute if I wasn't so frustrated about us. He eventually became vaguely aware that I was there and paused the game. Don't we just love DVR? What can I do for you, Sarah? Adam, why did you take half our money out of our checking and savings accounts? Well, I figured unless and until we ever have a real marriage again, it didn't make sense to share financial matters. Don't worry. There is a check for half of the mortgage and utilities on the end table. That's not the point, Adam. It's not the money. It's more distance between us. Adam looked thoughtful for a moment and then spoke. I don't get it, Sarah. You wanted to be able to play with other men, but didn't want to give up anything in our relationship. Remember, I said I'd give him up if you wanted me to. That's not fair, Adam. Oh, so you weren't interested in doing it simply because it was the right thing to do, or out of respect for me, only if it was the only way for us to stay together? Well, when you put it like that, my God, this wasn't going like I wanted it to go at all. What was I going to do? I had really opened a can of worms here and was beginning to see that now. Sarah, let me help you with something here. I agreed to stay married because I wasn't 100% sure that I had been as proactive as I should have been with communicating our needs and feelings with one another as the years passed. I didn't want to just leave even though you cheated on me, on us, without making sure I went more than my share of the distance to make our relationship vibrant and mutually fulfilling. Having said that, let me make one thing clear. I might not meet your expectations in every way, and I regret that, but it's who I am. I may not be able to spark the same feelings in you as I once did, but I still have my pride and self-respect, and I won't tolerate being disrespected. What do you think friends and family would think of me? What would my coworkers say if they knew you had someone else in your life and that I was aware of it and was somehow expected to accept it? Sharing you while being left in the dark? Sorry, that's not something I'm willing to accept. Let me ask one more thing, though I haven't brought it up before, but how long have you been seeing Mark? I haven't been with Mark, just seeing Mark. With seeing whatever. How long? Adam was getting angry now. The layers of what I had done to him were just beginning to surface, and I was growing more disillusioned with myself and my situation by the minute. I started to cry again. Almost a year. This was followed by a long silence. A year. Yes, again. No point in lying now, was there? So here's the deal. 1 year after you decide to stop seeing Mark or anyone else, we can discuss whether we can become husband and wife and anything more than name. Now, if you don't mind, this game is important. The finality. Now the pieces were beginning to fall together. Now I was beginning to realize just how much of a fool I had been and how badly I had hurt the man that I now understood I loved more than ever. I knew there was no point in pleading my case. Not only had I cheated on Adam, but I had the arrogance, lack of sensitivity, and selfishness to ask him to keep on doing it, but also keep all the things I liked best at the time about our marriage. God, I was starting to hate myself. A year was going to be a very long time, but there was no question that I was going to wait it out. I guess another month or so wouldn't matter, would it? Maybe just 1 or 2 more times with Mark to be able to enjoy the memories. You guessed it. I called Mark and met him again the next day. I'm clearly a poster child for self-destructive behavior, and yet I did it anyway. After spending another couple of hours with Mark, I wanted to take steel wool and purge myself. It wasn't exciting. It didn't feel good. I felt dirty and cheap. I told him as I left to go back home that I wasn't ever interested in seeing or hearing from him again. To add insult to injury, he didn't really seem to care. I definitely hadn't wanted him to put up such an argument that it became awkward to end things between us, but I had at least hoped he would make some effort to talk me out of moving on for the sake of my ego. This situation was getting better and better all the time. Surely Adam couldn't have planned things to turn out this way, could he? He couldn't know how I would start to feel and that Mark would ultimately dump me. Well, he may as well have, right? I told Adam the next day that Mark and I were through. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I was hoping for him to be happy about it and to take me into his arms and all to be forgiven. I know. He simply made a note on the calendar, then turned to me. I'm glad to hear you've made that decision. You should understand. I don't believe you and don't believe you won't find someone else. You're going to have to prove to me that you haven't been with any other men for a year from now in order to get me back. I have no idea how you'll do that, but that's not my problem. Adam started to walk away and then turned around. Oh, just so you're not surprised by it, I'll be having a guest over for dinner tomorrow night. So the final blow had arrived. This had to be the final blow, right? Hadn't I learned my lesson by now? Just to facilitate my self-pity, let me recap. After getting caught, I 1. Found the sex with my lover immediately got boring. 2. Started to miss the emotional intimacy of my marriage terribly. 3. Became aware of how significant the non-sexual aspect of my physical relationship with my husband was and now was lost. 4. Hated myself because of the guilt feelings I now had. 5. Hurt badly as a result of the pain I had caused Adam. 6. Now I could enjoy a sudden and overwhelming jealousy. Interesting how it never occurred to me that he might take an interest in someone else. Other than that, it had been a pretty good last few weeks. As I'm sure you may have guessed, Clara, that was her name, was absolutely stunning. She was about 5 feet 3 inches. I'd guess her to weigh about 105, with fantastic legs, red hair with a smattering of freckles, and a C-cup. She worked in an adjacent office building as Adam, and they crossed paths in the connecting garage and security desk on occasion and had brief discussions. Apparently, she had had something of a crush on Adam for quite some time, but he wouldn't have anything to do with her beyond friendly discussion. Clearly, he now felt free to do so. They had been seeing one another for a couple of weeks now and were clearly already very comfortable together. She came over, and Adam grilled some steaks, which she complimented until she was blue in the face. I know all this, of course, because I was peeking out windows and around doors the whole time she was there. She left around 11, and I pretended to come out of my room for a drink of water. She's pretty, I told Adam. Yes, she is. Thank you for saying so. Why did you have to bring her here? Was it to teach me a lesson? I don't know what you're talking about, Sarah. You saw someone else for over 2 years behind my back. You're really going to be jealous about me seeing someone now that we have agreed we don't owe one another any fidelity? I don't get you. I guess it's just that, well, I'm definitely seeing what a self-serving idiot I've been. I'd like to ask, no, I guess beg you to take me back. I mean, really take me back. Talk to me in a year, and we'll see, Sarah. I didn't think it was possible to cry any more tears, but I found a way to make a long story at least a little bit shorter. I hung in there for the next year. I took an additional part-time job to be able to pay a surveillance expert to monitor everything I did through cameras and recording devices. Ironic, since I later found out that's how I'd been caught. I had the reports sent directly to Adam. He never commented on them. He continued to be friendly to me, but his wall never crumbled at all. He continued seeing Clara, and though I made it a point not to subject myself to their time together after that first evening, I assumed they were very serious. It was the longest and certainly one of the most painful years of my life. I oscillated between self-pity because of how badly this was hurting me and self-loathing because I knew I had hurt Adam so badly and deserved everything that was happening to me. Adam was never blatantly mean or never made any remark that would imply any of this was about revenge. I guess he felt he just needed this time to regain the dignity he felt he had lost. At the end of my year of purgatory, I approached Adam. Adam, can we talk? Sure, Sarah. What's up? Well, you may not remember, but it has been a year now. Yes, I was thinking that same thing. So, can we discuss being husband and wife again? I think you would agree I've done everything you've asked. In fact, and you may assume this, but I don't want to leave it to chance that you do, so I want you to know that I have spent much of the past year in reflection. I finally figured out what caused me to do it. I wish I had an answer that painted me in a different light, but it was very simply selfishness on my part. I wanted everything we had together but also wanted the added excitement of something illicit on the side. It really wasn't about Mark at all, nor was it about anything missing between us. I told myself in the beginning that I wasn't hurting you if you didn't find out. Now that I have had time to step back and think about it unemotionally, I'm ashamed of myself. I mean, I was ashamed at the time, of course, but clearly not enough to stop it. I want you to know I'm prepared to do whatever you want to make things right between us. I'm pleased and impressed with your thoughts and insight, assuming it's genuine, of course. That being said, I need to let you know that Clara and I have decided to get married. I've developed deep feelings for her, and while I don't want to hurt you, I feel that she's a better match for me in many ways. We connect emotionally, mentally, and intellectually in ways that I think complement me better, and she also shares interests like playing golf that align with mine. I'm really sorry to hurt you, but now I do need to go ahead and get that divorce. Adam hesitated for a quick moment and looked at me, then turned and walked away. I collapsed on the floor and cried what was left of my heart out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.